Hey there, everyone. My name is David Anashevsky.
My name's Nathan Carnes, and we are Automation Insiders. We exist to help people stay engaged, equipped, and informed on all things relative to intelligent automation. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Perfect, Nathan. Really quick, before we jump in, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, David. So my background encompasses business process management, robotic process automation, and data security tools and technologies. There's lots of ebb and flow in the industry today, but really excited about where the intelligent automation space is headed to. And look forward to joining forces with you, David, and having some rock solid interviews.
Ready for that as well, my friend. So, first question for you today. Tell me about the industry as a whole, Nathan. What do you see as far as the pain points and why companies are looking into intelligent automation today?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I have conversations with lots of clients about is these buzzwords that you hear in the industry, right? You have artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks. The phrases and terminology just go on and on. And one thing that I seek to do with the clients that I work with is really demystify these ethereal concepts, right? How can you actually put them into practice within your organization? When I say AI or when I say natural language processing, what does that actually mean to you? It could mean something very different to me, right, in the organization that I'm working with. So it's so important, I think, to be on the same page with organizations. I think over the last decade, we've seen lots of ebb and flow, lots of growth, but lots of ebb and flow when it comes to technology adoption throughout organizations. The term RPA, robotic process automation, over the last 10 years has grown very steadily across organizations looking to eliminate manual processes. You think point and click across websites, inputting username and passwords and screen scraping information off of various websites to gather data, helping accounting teams to essentially be able to input data into Excel and eliminate a lot of that manual data entry. So there's a lot of benefits associated with automation. And I think as we take this next step in the automation journey that organizations are trying to figure out, how not only can I process and automate all of my data, right, on a daily basis, but how can I take it one step further and actually understand what this data means to our business today? One analogy I love giving is how can we take a magnifying glass and put it up to that data and really understand it, right? How can we make that data actionable? And I think maybe that's a good word that we can think through, is that concept of actionabilizing data, if that's even a word, right? But how can we make data actionable for organizations today?
I love that thought, and it really does revolve around data, right? I mean, at the end of the day, artificial intelligence, its life source is that data, right? And I think what we're seeing, not just on the business side, we're also obviously seeing it on the consumer side with ChatGPT and literally all of its competitors out there. And now, AI has been around for a while, but what we're seeing in the industry is we're really seeing an uptick both on the business and the consumer side, and it's such an exciting time to be in AI. And a lot of people think this is the beginning, which in the grand scheme of things it is, but the fact is it's been around for a while, but it's just getting really juicy now. But I completely agree with where you stand on the industry. Hopping on that note, um, what companies can benefit from intelligent automation? What can they really benefit from actual automation? And are there specific companies that could take advantage of this technology more than others might be able to?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, right? I think every organization out there wants to try to find ways that they can automate their manual processes, right? And this is going back to what I said earlier in our conversation around this transition that you've seen from not only wanting to automate a lot of those manual processes, but understand why they're automating what they're automating, right? And what value and impact does it actually bring to the business? So to answer your question directly, I think that all organizations can take advantage of this, but there are certain organizations where you see it having more of more benefits associated with it. So some of those industries that I've had exposure to and that I see as a whole take more advantage of it are companies with mass amounts of data, right, that they're transferring to and from customers, to and from partners and vendors. Some of those verticals are insurance, healthcare, manufacturing. What's very interesting is the use cases are similar in nature, right? But then they add their own spin on the type of data that they're actually working with, right? So for manufacturing, you have a lot of use cases centered around raw data, right? Health and analysis of machinery, their packaging, their element of their business, their plant operations, right? There's just this little spin on each one of them. And then you look at insurance as a whole and you think, okay, well, for the insurance field, they have thousands upon thousands of documents that they're dealing with on a daily basis, right? And these documents could be completely structured, like your typical W-2. They could be semi-structured, much like an invoice, or they could be completely unstructured in nature. And unstructured data piece is where the gold is, I think, for a lot of these organizations, because unstructured data could come in many forms or fashions. You think of emails, right? Customer reviews, any type of irregular form or a PDF where you just have data all over the place. And once again, you're really wanting to understand what impact can this data have to my business as a whole, so that at the end of the day, we can make better, more informed business decisions. And specifically with insurance, you have multiple different departments. You have your claims team, you have your actuarial teams, you have your underwriting teams, and all of these siloed different parts of the organizations have a different way that they're viewing these documents, right? So for instance, the actuarial team, they're looking on how can we mitigate risk, right? Is this client worth taking on to the business, or will this pose a big risk to our organization from a financial standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really important to understand how these documents pass through the organization and what each department is needing to look for when they examine these documents.
I couldn't agree more, Nathan. I was at just late last year. I was at an InsurTech conference in Vegas, and it's one of the biggest insurance events out there, basically. And what I was going to say was that I spoke to so many different insurance companies out there, so many key technical people within these organizations, and one of the issues that they have is, a lot of their insurance, a lot of the organizations are based on very old software, and it's very hard to get all these smaller agencies to get on the same platform so that they can really, really make a difference with their tech stack and really make things move quicker. Because what we see in the insurance industry, which I know you've seen, is we need a speedier process, especially in the claims department. And this is something that automation can really, really help make a huge difference. And when you have a natural disaster and all people want is to get their lives back on track to get paid off, that's claims. And if we can help automate, if AI can help automate and bring any sort of time savings to these people, just think about the drastic changes of that cycle for people within the insurance claims cycle that can really be just really make a massive difference for these people's lives. But overall, just speaking to some of the top minds in insurance, automation is here and going to make an impact on that industry. And insurance is just the tip of the iceberg. We have so many options out there, but insurance is one that really, really resonates with automation. I'm so glad you brought it up, because I really think that if an insurance organization is not using automation today, it's really risking being left behind.
Yeah, and I have a personal example of this, David, and I think this could really hit home for some of the viewers of this interview series, is when you're walking through an insurance application, right? Whether it be auto insurance or life insurance, renter's insurance, you want clarity and visibility into that process, where is the approval process actually at? Where are you at in that process, right? Is it still being reviewed by underwriting? Is a decision about to be made? Like, it's important to have that visibility. You can just think about your daily life, right? Anytime you put an application out there for anything that's important to you, you want to know where it's at in the process, and not for it to be in this black box, right? And you're constantly calling and on hold and trying to figure out where it's at. That can be quite frustrating. So speeding up that claims process from the moment that it's submitted by the end user who's requesting that insurance, and the agent accepting that claim and putting it through its process. How can automation help streamline that process, and how can we give visibility to the end user at the same time? So not only are we looking at employee engagement internally with having sufficient technology that's all connected properly to help streamline that, but also improving the customer experience, right? And I think as we talk to CXOs across the board, that's one of the main things that they're wanting to look at, right? Is how can we improve the customer experience? And that's one big component for me when I reach out to organizations and I'm talking to CXOs, is I want to work with organizations that really have a strong view of the customer, right? And the customer experience. And I think that's big. And I personally think intelligent automation is the way into that.
I completely agree. And I mean, you look at some of these organizations, and let's say Florida, for example, where, hurricane season lasts quite some time. And these people know that, hey, hurricane season comes every year, be prepared. But the fact is, when it comes to picking an insurance agency, wouldn't you want to pick the insurer that will pay claims quicker than their competitors? Because when you think about it, if you've made the decision to live in Florida, which I have lived in Florida on multiple occasions, hurricane season is very real. So I feel like the insurance company I'd want to pick is the one that would actually pay me out quicker. And this is the advantage that these insurance companies have against their competition, if they're willing to go that little bit of an extra mile initially, because over time they'll still see a cost savings almost indefinitely. Let's move on to our last question here. So in closing, Nathan, as companies do their due diligence and research on intelligent automation vendors, what are some things to consider?
Yeah, once again, there's a lot out there, right? So I think the best way to answer this, David, is really setting the stage on what the challenges are today, right? Because you don't know how to move forward until you know, first off, the challenges around your environment, right? Why you need automation, but also what your landscape looks like today internally, and what the options are externally for you to bring in a specific vendor or consulting firm. So one thing I will mention is that there are many point solutions out there that target a specific area around automation, right? There are many organizations and many vendors that put their claim to fame on X, Y, and Z on their websites, right? And what I think is very important is for organizations to do their due diligence, have many conversations, and ask very pointed questions. What can your technology actually do for my organization, right? And I think one thing that they need to look for, organizations need to look for, is a holistic solution, right? Not a point solution, but a solution that can really meet the automation needs from A to Z for their company, right? So how does this look, right? From research that has been done by Gartner, IDC, Forrester, and many other third-party consulting firms, there is mass amounts of data on the market today. But what they all are unified in saying is that 80%, roughly 80% of all enterprise data is unstructured. And if traditional automation tools cannot solve the processing of unstructured data today, then where does that leave them? Hence, our interview series on intelligent automation. So it's a big part of these organizations to either do the research themselves, or to hire a global systems integrator or a partner of theirs to look at the market. What are other consulting firms saying? Where has there been success in deploying intelligent automation solutions today? And I think that will benefit these organizations greatly, because the goal here is to save money to your organization, streamline processes internally, and not have multiple point solutions, but rather an integrated, complete, holistic solution that can meet the needs of automation for your organization today. So it takes time. It's not something you do overnight, but it can happen and it can be achieved if you have the right people internally focused on that within your organization for that as change.
Agreed, and I think it's about all. I think it's also about understanding what your goal needs to be or what your goal wants to be, because you have all these tools out there. I mean, think about all the tools on the business side, all the tools on the consumer side. We have so many AI tools to choose from. We just have to pick out the ones that make most sense for your business moving forward. But at the same time, to your point, wouldn't it be nice if there was just one that could do it all? And but for looking at it not in a vacuum, the unstructured data piece is going to be something very, very big moving forward, because like you said, 80% is a very large number, and we have the data to back it up in Gartner. So on that note, thank you, Nathan, and everyone, for taking the time today. Moving forward, we would like to invite you all to engage with us by sharing some content ideas that you'd like us to focus on. And if there are any key figures or thought leaders that you'd like to see nominated for this interview series, please let us know in the form below. Lastly, we'd like to provide a thought-provoking quote that can be impactful for you as an employee or for your business as a whole after every show. So today, it's going to be Nathan. So Nathan, kick it off.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. So if you have not had the chance to read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, I highly suggest it. One of the quotes in his book is this: "The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue to play the game. True long-term thinking is less goalless thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It's about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. Ultimately, it's your commitment to the process that will determine your success." So as you dwell on and think on what we have talked about today in this interview series centered around intelligent automation and the impacts it can have within your specific organization, remember, it's not just about one project. It's not just about one team. It's the team as a whole. And how can you continually redefine and work through a way that can help your company holistically over and over and over again. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.